Hey everyone, this is Georgia from Tippy.com. It's September 18th, 2011, and this is iPad Live.
iPad Live is brought to you by the Tippy iPad Accessory Store, your one-stop shop for iPad cables, chargers, and much, much more. Visit store.tippy.com now.
Joining us tonight is the co-host of Iterate TV, the CIO of Nickelfish. He fights for the users, Seth Clifford.
Hey, Georgia, how you doing?
I'm good, Seth. How are you doing?
Doing well. Had a good weekend.
Keyboard functional.
Keyboard is once again functional. I think it may have to do with the fans blasting as much as they were because now they're calmed down. I think I had some kind of hardware issue.
And also joining us is my co-host on iPhone Live and Zenitech TV, the managing editor of Tippy.com, Renee Ritchie. Hey, Renee.
Hey, Georgia. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Daddy's had enough now. Yeah,
everyone, play nice.
This is I was saying before, I'm on a backup computer because my Mac Pro, I actually went to use it and there was this ugly red light, Cylon red, glaring out from the grid, and it kind of, what was the line that you said today, Seth?
Oh, I did the 2001 thing. You posted that picture of the red light, and I just pictured you saying, "Mac Pro, please commence startup sequence," and then it just kind of plaintively says, "I'm sorry, I can't do that, Renee."
Yeah. So my Mac Pro is sitting at Apple, and I'm using a laptop to try to run all the video switching from, and it crashed on us once already. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's gonna keep going okay now.
So we're gonna just stay to a 3-view.
Yes, we're not gonna do any fancy swishing because I don't know. We had this trouble on Mobile Nations too, and we ended up losing all Kevin's rants about RIM's financial disclosure, and he accused me of doing it on purpose. And while I would love to take credit, no. The universe decided that no one needed to know about RIM.
Well, that's how it goes sometimes.
Nice.
So Renee, for the video, should be playing now?
Yeah, it is playing now.
Okay, renewing. Let's take another peek at this.
Talking about Fight Club again.
Oh, man.
I
hear my fans spinning up already.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, this will be interesting.
Well, if it stops working, like I said, I just will not be very responsive in the chat. Please know that I still love you all. I'm not ignoring you.
Well, let's go through. We went through Mobile Nation 7 beta.
Yeah, and some people thought I was talking about the video in beta, but I was actually talking about Windows 8, which we're going to get to later in this show as well. But it was good. I mean, Phil talked about the next generation of Android phones, and we talked about the horror of me maybe actually having to review 2 iPhones this year, and I have no idea how to double my workload like that. And
you'll figure it out. Kevin
talked about the Rimpire striking back, or Rimageddon. It depends on your take. You got to listen to it and find out.
And we also went through Super Functional 11, mental and emotional factors. This sounds a little bit like some stuff that we cover in Zenitech, Renee.
Yeah, Jeff figured out you did an exercise episode, so we thought he was allowed to do a mental and emotional episode.
For sure.
But this one is focused on how your mental and emotional state can affect your posture, because your shoulders will get tense and you'll get like all these angry physical side effects, and how to try and get rid of those through exercise.
I think that sounds like a really important show to do.
Yeah, it was awesome. Jeff is, like I said, those Super Functional and Zenitech are yin and yang. It is great to have both of them on the network.
Yeah, they're great additions. They really are.
And the host from Zenitech is all right. We'll keep her.
Yeah, she's a little opinionated sometimes, but she's all right.
I heard she was kind of crabby, but that's just my thought.
Actually, and I'm not going to put any names to it, but a major editor from a major blog said that Zenitech was his favorite new podcast of 2011.
That's right. I saw that.
That's really sweet.
Yep.
You guys you're making your own dent in the universe.
Nice. You know what? They're going to charge us because we're not insured.
Dents.
I don't have universe insurance.
So let's head down to some iPad news.
Oh, do we have any?
we have a little bit of iPad news coming up, and one of them is that Sprint may be ready to launch a Sprint compatible iPad. Renee?
It's an iPad 2, right? And it's like 6-7 months after Verizon got a CDMA iPad 2. And CDMA, I mean, Sprint is the third largest network in America. So this iPad makes a dent, I guess, for some Sprint subscribers. But I don't know, Seth. It's such a fraction. The U.S. is such a, what's the right way of putting this? Such a unique market for these devices, because everywhere else they just get a GSM iPad and it works on all the networks pretty much, and they're done. But you guys are so, we make us leap through all these hoops for you.
Yeah, don't lump us in with the decisions that have been made in the wireless space, because certainly most of us would probably have done it a different way. It's a mess, and it's extremely frustrating, and it's kind of a pain in the neck for consumers, because it's not easy at all to jump from carrier to carrier if you want to. And, around the world, you basically have your pick of whatever carrier you want, and your phone will pretty much work for the most part on any of them. So when I hear things like this, like, oh, there's a Sprint iPad coming to go with the AT&T iPad and the Verizon iPad, it's frustrating, but it's to be expected. And since that's the kind of structure we have, it's not going to going away anytime soon. And
it'll be how many? I mean, right already in Canada or everywhere else in the world, you have 3 Wi-Fi iPads, 3 GSM 3G iPads in white and in black. In the US, you already have all those plus the Verizon SKUs in white and black, and now you'll have Sprint SKUs in white and that's entirely too complicated for Apple. They should just want one iPad to rule them all.
Yeah, I'm sure that this probably really bristles Apple at some level, because they want things to be so clean and tidy and easy, and just to have like a handful of SKUs, and they just keep having more and more when these things happen. So I would love to see it consolidated, but I have no hope for that.
Georgia, any rumors of a T-Mo iPad coming soon?
No, but I would assume that if Sprint's getting an iPad, T-Mobile will be getting an iPad, and soon I would expect that the iPad will be sold on all carriers.
I wonder why it wasn't already. We know that the iPhone was exclusive to AT&T, and then they moved it over to Verizon. I wonder why Apple didn't just do AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, and T-Mobile all at once back in what was it, March, April? Why, Seth Clifford? Why?
Because people make poor choices. Next topic.
Okay. No further questions.
Talking about people making bad choices, the iPad 2 is marked as discontinued at Target.
Oh. Yeah, this was kind of weird.
Which seems just like, could this, Renee, just be an error? We have some screenshots of, them showing the 16 gigabyte iPad 2 on 3G. On Verizon and AT&T as being discontinued.
So this is what our source told us, okay? That implies that we will not be ordering more, which implies a new iPad is forthcoming rather soon, Octoberish, say. Either that or Target exiting the iPad business, which seems unlikely. A lot of the cases have gone clearance too. Which is hugely suspect, in my opinion, because we have seen Costco have a spat with Apple and remove stuff, but why just the iPad 2? And I don't buy the iPad 3 coming. We had a really good source tell us that Apple was trying really hard to get the iPad 3 out this fall, but that they couldn't do it. The panels were too expensive and the yield rates were too low, and they just couldn't get it done. So that's going to be next year, and I don't think Target is privy to any other information.
Yeah, I kind of, my gut is telling me that this is probably just some kind of inventory hiccup, because why wouldn't we have heard this from many, many other retailers too?
Yeah, like what is so special about Tar-jay that they get all? I mean, it's not like Ron Johnson left Apple to go back to Tar-jay. He's gone elsewhere.
Yeah, I just feel like if that were the case, we'd be hearing this from Best Buy and from every other place that carries them, that they're not getting more and that their computers are showing them as not coming in anymore.
Mayhap like the Apple retail stores.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be more like a glitch then, or, just an error someone by mistake, typed in, no instead of an yes somewhere, and they're going to be selling them. It's not like they're good sellers. It's not like something that they're not going to deal with, and it's not like they're going to be getting rid of the iPad 2 anytime soon.
You think maybe the Target was just desperate to get in on all this iOS crazy news cycle, and the guy's like, everything is going according to my design. Soon the webs will be full of studies about Tar-jay. And then, like, Dark Forest lightning all over the iPad 2s.
I wasn't aware that Emperor Palpatine was actually the CEO of Target, but thanks for bringing that to my attention.
He could be. I mean, I don't know who's the CEO. I know Tim Cook runs Apple and Steve Ballmer runs, I know a couple of them, but I don't know who runs Target. Could be Jeff Bezos for all I know. Could be Mr. T. Crazy iPad 2, sucker.
So talking about impressions, Renee, Stevie Wonder wanted to thank Steve Jobs for iOS and all of its accessibility for people with various disabilities.
Are you asking me for a Stevie Wonder impression? Will I get in trouble for that?
Can you sing well?
I can sing equivalent to the Saturday Night Live spoof of, Stevie Wonder. But you can just, and I thank all the
let's
Stevie
do
Wonder,
it.
all the Steve Jobs in the world, and all the accessory and all the accessibility features in the iPad 2. And I mean, is that what basically happened here? I lost track.
Wow. Setting the bar high, aren't we?
I can't imitate Stevie Wonder, but I can imitate. So it's like basically this. This is it. Okay. I want you all to give a hand to someone that you know whose health is very bad at this time, but for someone who and his company took the challenge in making his technology accessible to everyone in the spirit of caring and moving the world forward, Steve Jobs.
And it's true. I have to say the iPad is a wonderful device for that. Like, I'm actually going to be using it probably in some sessions for helping people deal with memory loss and, just dealing with getting, memories back and speeding up the manner in which they pull out information and storage, just because applications are so simple and the manner in which you interface with the iPad is easy. So it definitely helps.
All right, the chat room is demanding that I actually play Stevie doing it because for some reason they think he can do Stevie better than me. So
okay, go ahead.
We are in 2011 on September the 11th. And we have lots of emotion on this day. And for those of us that are here, we are blessed to be here today. And yet we pain for those who are not here today, whatever country they may have been from, because war from any place in the world, I still believe is wrong.
Where's the Steve Jobs stuff?
So, just to keep it really real.
Eddie Murphy was right. Stevie can talk.
I had a chance to speak with President Obama, United Nations, as a messenger of assistance.
My goodness.
I said, my vision...
Oh, 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Eddie starts. All right, here we go.
And I want you all to give a hand to someone that you know whose health is very bad at this time. But for someone who, in his company, took the challenge in making his technology accessible to everyone in the spirit of caring and moving the world forward, Steve Jobs. Because there's nothing on...
Yeah, like Eddie Murphy said, he's a musical genius and all, but boy, can he talk.
Yeah. Well, on the topic of accessibility, which is where we started, there was actually a really great article posted that I just put into the chat back in December of last year, and I believe that this came back around in the last week or two because Apple put it in an email or something like that. Matt Gemmell is his name?
Yep.
How do you say his
Legend
name?
Gemmell.
Guy's awesome. He's hysterical to follow on Twitter, but he's also very, very insightful developer. The link that I posted in the chat really gives some exceptional reasons as to why accessibility is both useful for developers as well as users, and how easy it actually is to do with iOS, and how little a developer actually has to do to get the app up to a certain point that would be useful for people with some disabilities. So it's definitely a great read. If you have some time, check it out.
Cool.
I agree with Seth. But we get emails from people. Apple has put a bunch of features in, even in iOS 5 now, where you can customize different kinds of vibrations. Instead of having ringtones, you can have vibration tones.
Yep.
And they've really, for people with sight, people with hearing issues, they've gone... You don't hear about that. You hear about these smartphone wars in the abstract, about who's got the most numbers, who's got the most profit, who's got the most OS on the most units. But really, in terms of pushing the bar for accessibility, I think Google's voice control is more pervasive. That's a better solution right now. But if Apple nails the nuance, they're going to be way ahead in accessibility.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see where this goes, because I think a lot of that stuff, while it's going to be really terrific for people who really need it, it's gonna trickle down and give us a lot of cool things too.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the voice control will be something huge in the end, with more people that'll be driving around with their iPhones and iPads, especially if they happen to be in a Bentley.
Nice transition. Are you driving in your Bentley? Are you going James Bond?
No, but this was pretty cool, I have to say. They had a Apple interior with dual iPads and a Mac Mini, and little areas for where it can, talk about luxury. It has its own area that you can plug everything in, suit everything up, and use your computer while you travel, which will probably be great for
Oh, 007,
for people that
grow
are
up.
already texting and driving. Yeah, no, for sure.
This is James Bond's Bentley, right?
Yeah, and it looks absolutely sweet, and it's all controlled by a Magic Trackpad. Keyboard sits in the rear center console and has a handmade leather pouch.
Do I dare try and...
I'd get one.
Well,
You'd pick up the Bentley?
yeah. The Bent.
I might.
The Bent.
All right, well, let me know how
I
it
could
is.
probably suffer through it.
Okay. It does look awesome, though.
The only thing is, it's not the I'm losing it here. What's the James Bond car? The Aston. It's not the Aston. They should do this with the Aston. That way, a nice Vanquish with this technology, and we'll be fine.
That would be pretty hot, too.
Yeah. Actually, I heard those. I watched Top Gear, and they don't think too much of that car.
Well, it's also not legal to drive around having your laptop, if it's in the front, you have to have it in a certain area, even if it's going to be for your mapping. But now with GPS, it's kind of hard. Like, you have to it does actually help to be able to see. I think that when they have the ones that are projected onto the kind of see-through, but they're projected onto the windshield, that'll probably
the
end up
heads
working.
up. iPad heads up on it. That'd be cool. AirPlay. Just AirPlay that stuff right to the heads up display.
Yeah.
Apparently, a Rebenton will get you more badge. I don't know what that means, but that was a Top Gear assessment of the cars.
I don't think it was badge, but
No,
okay.
Apparently, that's how the Spanish pronounce it.
Well, talking about rivals in the market,
Here we go.
Microsoft previews Windows 8 and, also in its tablet designs. Renee, were you impressed?
Okay, I have to be careful now because we talked about this on Mobile Nations, and I got so much angry email. I didn't know there were Windows 8 fanboys already. I thought it would, take an actual product. But how dare you say that Metro is a shell on top of Windows 8? Stupid Apple fanboy. I mean, it was rough. So I got to be careful now. But the current internet meme is that Windows 8 Metro is great, but the fact that it's sitting on top of Windows 8, which is, like the Windows 7 successor, is not so great. And that it's sort of a, what's the right word? People say schizoid, but it's more multiple personality disorder, that it can't decide whether it's a tablet PC from days of yore or a slick Metro device like a Windows Phone 7.5. And Microsoft thinks it's getting best of both worlds. They keep saying no compromise, no compromise, no compromise. But sometimes I think Apple's proven that when you make that choice and you don't dump that choice on your users, it ends up being a better singular product in the end.
Seth, what did you think about the interface itself, though?
I think it's really cool. I really want to get one and play with it and just kind of see what they've done, because obviously they're definitely setting off in a new direction that's not just icons on a screen and very derivative of what we've already seen. So I'm definitely all for Microsoft, taking this idea and running with it. I'm a little bit skeptical as to the underpinnings of the operating system. Like Renee was saying, like Windows is still there. I kind of feel like they should have broken away with this and started something completely new, but I know that they're so enmeshed in their legacy everything that it's kind of hard for them to do that. So I recognize that, but I feel like they've gotten so close with all of the new look and feel and like really targeting what you want to do when you turn the device on and really thinking about it in a different way and getting some people in there with great ideas. And I really just wish they would take that extra step and break it off and let it be its own thing, because I think it would be way more successful if they did. But Microsoft is a company that in the past and to date has had a lot of difficulty with telling people no. They'll try to accommodate every little thing you want to do, even if it means that half the time the stuff you want to do doesn't work. And Apple doesn't do that. They basically say, these are the things you can have. And you can hem and haw and say, but we want this. And they say, these are the things you can have. We promise they're all going to be great. And you know what? If you like that and you work with that, you kind of work in that mindset, things are easier. But you're always kind of like, especially for power users, you're always wanting more. I wish Microsoft would tell people no, which is something they just can't do.
Well, I think that they want to kind of move away from it. It is actually a little bit Apple-esque, like with being able to have all of your, I would say applications, but all of your programs being able to be little squares, and you can kind of move through all of them, move them around, change the size from big to small, and be able to customize it a little. It kind of has a little bit more of an iPad feel to it in that manner, which I liked. I liked the way that you could kind of scroll through them and move them around, and there was fast keys to it. I think that it didn't show as easy to use as they probably had hoped, because they were a little bit sticky. They didn't really, even when they were demonstrating, it was a little bit hard in order for them to move everything and be able to access them. But I think that it's not bad. It looks kind of sweet in some ways.
Oh, it looks great. And the problem for me really is that this looks great, but it's so far away. And
how far away is it, Seth?
I heard about a year.
That's
I don't know
so
if
different, because like Apple will show you the iPad and then give you the shipping date, and it's like pre-orders
Right.
in 20 days, ships in a month at the most. Where
Yeah.
Microsoft's like, no, this isn't Longhorn. This is Windows 8 Metro, and it ships in calendar year 2012, sometime when the trees are red and gold.
Yeah,
Well,
and
and that's the one thing that worries me all the time when they show something, is that you're not really sure if it's actually even going to ever come out, or if it's going to end up being vaporware.
exactly.
I think they learned from the vaporware thing. Like now, in the old days, they would kind of, like with Longhorn especially, which ended up being Vista, I think, they would just keep extending the deadline because they couldn't make their features. And now I think they cut. Instead of, like, they'll do less, almost the Apple philosophy, they'll do less and get it done rather than try to do everything and keep delaying it.
I want to see what hardware this is going to run on, though. I want to see it run smoothly on comparable hardware that will last all day and do the kinds of things that people expect a good tablet to do. That's,
Like on a Tegra 2.
Yeah. Make sure she knows it's a Tegra 2. I don't know.
Well,
It's so far away, it's hard for me to really get excited because it doesn't seem real.
But at least it's different. I mean, like they cannot be accused of making an iPad clone, because first of all, you can run full-blown Windows apps, and second of all, while Metro is a touch UI, it's really the first new concept at a touch. I'd say even newer, because the iPhone was borrowing heavily from Palm and things that came before it. But this is a pretty big revisioning of how the touch-based computing could work.
Totally. I love
Yeah.
it. It has a ton of potential.
It has a ton of potential, but again, it's like, Project Natal that, everyone's completely excited about it. You're stoked for it. And then it sets the anticipation. It's almost like anti-Apple because they set the anticipation so high for what could be. And then it never actually reaches that high.
What's Project
And then
Natal for
sometimes it
normal
just
people, Georgia? Non-geeks?
Oh, yeah. It was interactive gaming taken to a new level in which you could. It's like the Kinect on speed and crack.
Well, it was a
and
code name
LSD.
for Kinect, and then they shipped they had a lot of lofty goals for it, but they shipped the Kinect, which is all right. But I
Right.
bought it and I don't
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
have one
no,
too,
and I
and
like the
it's-
Kinect actually quite a lot, but it is not as interactive as it can be, and it isn't able to read. It doesn't do. It's just.
It's not the one-to-one mapping you were hoping for.
Right.
Not even close. No, for sure. And the interactive games are not the same way as they wished, but they set the bars so high, and then they can never keep up with it, and it leaves everyone just feeling like, well, I wish that what they had actually shown was what they get. Whereas often what happens with Apple is that they'll show it, it'll come out in a really short time, and it'll be that and sometimes even more. There's stuff that they don't even put in until the last second, and then they upgrade it and make it even better.
Do you guys remember those Gates notes where Bill Gates? I mean, there was two or three that stick out where he would come out with his back when he still did the CES keynotes before he retired, and he'd come out with his Windows phone and put it down, and that would be his computer, and he'd pick it up and go into his living room, and that would show his movies, and he would do gestures in front of the phone, and that would control the phone, no touch, and he would hold it up, and it would look at buildings and give him information. These are all technologies that everyone but Microsoft has pretty much got to the market already. They've done maybe Microsoft with the Kinect, but not in phones. But Google's done a lot of stuff with the what's that reality thing? Augmented reality, and they're even doing the thing where you plug your phone into a laptop now. And Microsoft had all these ideas, and they just never realized them. At least now they have gaming. It looks like I've been waiting for this for 8 or 10 flapping years. Finally, we'll have gaming that can work between Microsoft environments. You'll be able to game on your phone, on your freaking tablet, and on Windows with each other. That would be stupendous.
Yeah, I would, I think that it's a step in the right direction. But again, when we see stuff and it's going to be so far away, and who knows, by the time that we actually happen to get there, tablets are going to be so much more than that. They're just always going to have to, deal with catch up. But again, it looks great. So, hopefully they'll be able to bring it out, and it's not going to be, take forever for them to do it.
It could be handy. You could have your tablet and you do all your Metro stuff, and then, oops, I need Excel. I really, really need full Excel. That Quick Office garbage is not going to, and I think Quick Office is great, by the way, is not going to be able to do it. I need Excel and I need MS Paint, and I need them now. And then you'll be able to press the Windows button, launch Windows, spool up your Norton antivirus, and open Excel.
Yeah, no, I even remember the table design that they showed. Take a picture, just stick it onto the table, and then it suddenly, they have a copy that's there, and you can move it around and interact with it. And the same thing with documents.
Oh, yeah, what was that called? What was it? There was a big ass table.
Surface.
Yeah,
the Surface. That's right.
That's what it was called, the big ass table.
No, see, yeah. Seth, when you say Surface, I think of Lake Bell, and that was just, they're not comparable.
Microsoft's big ass table trademark.
Yeah. No, but I love Microsoft Labs. Microsoft Labs are so smart, but we don't see it productized. Where Apple does not have, they have labs, but they do not publicize them the way Google or Microsoft do their labs. And then you see the product that's at the end. And it's kind of different because Microsoft's not afraid to show you and their enterprise partners how they make the sausage. And I kind of admire them for that. Like, yes, it's kind of gross to see the sausage. And yes, sometimes the herbs and spices you wish were in the sausage don't show up when you actually eat it. But it's still, it's like watching the Food Network for gadgets.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like watching
kind of
Alton
lost me at
Brown.
the sausage thing, but yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. You know what else, though, Georgia?
I think it's great. Go ahead.
Sausage is delicious, though.
The other thing is, even Windows 8, the Metro layer is not going to support Flash or any plugins.
Yeah, that was
does
interesting.
Does this mean ever?
Well, no, this is actually weird because if you're in Metro, if you're in that beautiful touch UI and you try to play a video, it'll say that you do not have support for Flash, but then you can press the Windows button, launch full-on Windows, and that will support Flash. So you're going to have two different versions of Internet Explorer. You'll have Internet Explorer 8 Metro edition that on the device that doesn't support Flash, but at a button you can launch Internet Explorer 8 full-on Windows version that will support Flash. So you have two unequal browsers.
Yeah.
Now, why would that be, Renee?
Because they're not making a decision. Like Apple supports Flash. They don't install it for you anymore, but they support Flash on the Mac. They do not on iOS, but these are discrete devices. And Microsoft wants no compromises, the best of both worlds. So they're putting both of those paradigms onto one device.
This just sounds like a
Which
recipe
seems
for
great,
disaster.
Yeah, it just seems like they have to pick a side.
Mom, you're in son, why can't I get my Flash videos? Mom, you're in the wrong browser. Or it's more like Gromit, the wrong browser, Gromit.
Yeah, no, choose to go one route and then just do it really well.
Jonathan Fingers in the chat room is saying that he would love to have seen Adobe's reaction when they heard that Microsoft was also not going to have Flash. I wonder if, Seth, do you think the fanboys will be as angry, like the Flash fanboys will be as angry with Microsoft as they were with Apple for not having Flash support?
I don't know, because I mean, it's still technically kind of there if you go into the desktop mode and watch your stuff in there. So I guess for the people who are going to make a fuss, they kind of can't because it's there technically.
Yeah. The chat room is asking if there's such a thing as a Flash fanboy. I don't know. I think there are. I get angry letters from them. I got an angry letter from somebody who demanded that Tippy cover that the #1 game in the App Store was created using the Flash cross compiler, and that we should report the good things about Flash along with the bad things. And I wasn't sure because we don't say, "Oh, look, the #1 game is made with Unity," or "Oh, look, the #1 game is made with Epic Unreal." You know, just they make games are much more forgiving than productivity apps when it comes to how you compile them. But then I started looking at it, and this game looks great, looks gorgeous. It's a 2D game that will not play on an original iPad because it demands too many resources. It will only play on an iPad 2, and it's a little bit crashy. And the developers are saying don't blame them. And
Right.
Adobe, if I was Adobe, I would not have used this as a case study, because if your 2D app in your cross compiler cannot run on an original iPad when frickin' Infinity Blade can tear an original iPad to shreds in front of your bleeding eyes, I would not be, so happy to promote that game.
Don't blame us.
Yeah.
But don't worry, restart your iPad 3 or 4 times if the game doesn't work. That's a great experience.
I didn't do it. Is it just a scum?
Yeah, I don't think
crusty?
people are going to be as upset, though. One, I think that exactly as Seth had said, because you can have it work. But two, I think that Apple and Adobe's, let's say, disagreements were really, really public, and they actually made a huge issue at it. So if you don't really talk about it, and they're like, you know what, we're going to try to make it work on Flash, we'll get it running, and then everyone's happy. But I think that Apple's beef with Adobe was way too
public. Steve Jobs' open letter was. Can you imagine a Steve Ballmer open letter? Can you imagine if Ballmer would write? That would be so wonderful. Developers! We're not supporting Flash. Get on your feet. No Flash for you.
Would the letter be dripping in sweat?
It is now.
Oh.
We already named the podcast Sweaty Bomber. We're not going to do another one.
Sweaty bomber.
We did, didn't we?
I think so. Maybe I chickened out. I'm not sure. I
Well,
love
if
Steve
not,
Ballmer. He's great. I mean, he's one of the most entertaining CEOs in the business right now. I mean, maybe there's certain
You love
blogging.
Steve Ballmer to make fun of him.
No, not to make. I mean, he's so passionate. You can't. He's like, I don't know what the right word is. He's like that cousin that you kind of tentatively invite to the party, but you know he'd be a lot of fun when he's there.
Yeah, no, I think that he'd be a lot of fun. I don't know if I would want him to run my multi-billion-dollar company, but...
You want him to be the college buddy of the guy who runs your multi-billion-dollar company.
Right, I'm sure he does a better job than I ever could, but maybe not.
Nice. Oh, we're gonna get. I can already hear people typing. You stupid Apple fanboys! How dare you disparage this Windows 8 thing, which is gonna. Because that was it. Like, the minute Windows 8 came out, Microsoft was so careful not to call it an iPad killer. They didn't even mention the word iPad, even though iPad is like probably the only tablet in the game. They didn't mention anything. They just, they used very markety language. The other people, different tablets, yada yada yada. They were so careful. But the minute that video came out. I forget who it was, but one of the I won't give him any credit anyway. Not credit. I don't want to give him any recognition for this anyway. But he's like, "Hi, this is the Windows 8. This is the iPad. You win. Win what? This doesn't exist yet. It's like when people are talked about the iPad and it didn't exist. I don't understand these people, Seth.
Yeah, I saw that comment, and I just kind of had to roll my eyes because I can't even take that guy seriously anymore. I really can't.
You heard that comment over the fan noise? You were able to hear it?
Yeah, I saw it published somewhere.
Oh.
And it's just ridiculous. Like, honestly, if you're going to call... That's like having two teams pick your sport, walk out on the field, and one of them has really awesome new uniforms. And they're like, oh, guess what, guys? We might as well not even play. These guys look fantastic.
It's like that, but it's as if the New Zealand All Blacks in rugby got great uniforms and you decided that they were going to kill the Pittsburgh Steelers in American football.
Okay.
It's a totally different game, and who cares what uniform they're wearing, really? I mean, it's...
Yeah. You win at analogies tonight.
2 + 3 = a ham sandwich.
No, it's great. We're going to take you out. See you next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like bringing... It's like bringing a watermelon to a knife fight, It's just... It's big, it's odd, and it's not exactly the same, but it's still good in its own right.
Listen, guys, if you don't stab me, I am willing to share this delicious fruit with you.
I'll Gallagher this watermelon all over you if you don't put down that.
It's seedless. It's seedless.
He brings a knife, you bring a watermelon. That's the Redmond way, and that's how we win the tablet war. Georgia, save us.
Okay, let's take a look for Leanna did another fabulous post on the picks of the week. And let's take a scroll through. We have by Seth Clifford, Amazon Mobile.
Amazon Mobile?
It's not a very exciting app, and it's been around for a really long time, but I just love Amazon so much, I just figured I'd write about it. There's not much to say. It's Amazon, You buy stuff, it comes real fast. If you're a Prime member, the end. It's great.
What's good about the app compared to the web?
What's good about the app compared to the web? I feel like it's easier to find stuff and navigate. I mean, you don't get quite the same level of detail, and maybe it takes a little longer to find the thing, but I think the process through which you get there is a little simpler. I just like browsing. I like the way that it's laid out.
Nice. Andrew Ray picked Calorific, which colors your calories. George Lim picked Wikipanion, which is a nice way to package. I actually prefer articles by sophistication, but Wikipanion is also a really good wiki app. Ali Flowers picked Magic Painter. Chris Vitek picked Hangin' with Friends. And ask me what I picked, Georgia.
What did you pick, Renee?
Oh, hi! I picked Sherlock, the new BBC version of Sherlock Holmes, which has an excellent first episode, an alright second episode, and a really terrific third episode.
So I have a question about picks of the week. Since you seem to be kind of shying away from iOS stuff, can I pick other things? Like, I have a bunch of delicious liquors here that I could pick for week after week.
So if you read the first line, it says that... useful App Store apps, web apps, jailbreak apps, and occasional accessory websites or desktop app if the mood strikes us.
Okay. All right.
You could pick an application that talks about your favorite liquor.
Yeah, I can't believe I actually haven't done a search for, like, Whiskeys of the World app or something,
You got to contact Graham Clark from Glasshouse Apps and demand equal time for whiskey because his wine app, Cellar, is outstanding. But he really needs a whiskey. Do you have a whiskey cellar? Is that the same place you store whiskey, Seth?
No, not really. I mean, you just kind of keep it behind the bar. You keep the good stuff away so when people come over, they
don't see it and can't ask for it.
Yeah,
Nice.
Do we get the good stuff when you're on show?
Sometimes. Depends on the day.
So what's your whiskey pick of the week, Seth?
I I don't know. I wasn't prepared. I've got so many I can choose.
A good Glenlivet or Glenn
Oh,
Connery?
that's always a good one.
All right.
Glenlivet is one of my faves. Yeah.
Nice. I did it for him, George.
Leanna also had app for that, which gives you an application on how you can do something. And this one is how to sync calendars across multiple iPads, which is really useful.
Yeah, well, I don't want to watch Seth's head explode, so I'm not going to ask him how difficult syncing calendars is anymore.
Yeah, please. I just cleaned up around here. I don't want to mop my brains off the walls.
I don't want his head to explode like a Gallagher watermelon.
And accessories, I'm excited about these type of things. Space Invaders creator Taito is working on its own version of the iCade.
We should get them all and then do like a battle royal or something.
Yeah, against the full size arcade.
I guess a real arcade.
Head to head.
Maybe we'll get you one and we'll get Seth one, and we'll pick a game that you can play multiplayer on, and we'll see who's one joystick will rule them all.
Oh, awesome.
I'm down.
Because he's also an arcade fanboy like you, Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, retro for the win.
Yeah, before I come up, I'll take some great pictures of the stuff I have in my basement to show you.
Oh, I would love that.
You don't
Yeah,
travel with
for
it?
sure.
What, Renee?
You don't travel with it?
I got quite a lot of stuff here. I don't think TSA would take too kindly to it.
What? You have an original Donkey Kong machine in your luggage?
Sir, this really isn't carry-on. It's the one. I'm taking one thing. It's a Donkey Kong arcade cabinet. Come on.
iPhone, iPad, King of Kong. Ah, nice.
We also have a daily tip, which is how to find your Cydia account number.
Yeah,
And
Ali.
this is by Ali, which is so cool to be able to figure out how to find it, because I actually don't know how to find my Cydia account number.
Well, it's kind of fringe because she does a lot of high-level geekery. Like, she wants to get in on beta testing apps and stuff like that, so she needed to find this.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I think we've covered almost everything, though I did want to mention the Netflix, how, millions of people have dropped out of Netflix over that entire little stink that Seth and I talked about a few weeks ago.
Have they? They lost a lot of people?
They've lost 20% of their stocks.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, people
Because
were
of
actually
Seth?
really... No, but Seth and I were saying really it's not that big of a deal. But people, once you give someone something and then you take it away from them for no real strong reason, people get upset. And yeah, people were really upset about it. So they left in droves.
I'm
Some of the chat was saying
still,
50%.
I'm still enjoying Netflix on an almost daily basis, so I haven't really been paying attention.
Me
Wow.
too. But, they've been messing
IROC
with me.
says that it's 50% of their stocks by now. I had checked it last week and it was at 20, but that's even scarier.
I've been getting bamboozled by Netflix lately. Like, I'll go there and it'll say A-Team, and I'm expecting, Mr. T, and I get, Quentin Rampage Jackson, because it's the movie, it's not the original show. And today I saw Knight Rider, and I pressed it, and it was a 2008 show, not the Hasselhoffian version.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what upsets me about
Netflix
Netflix is when they don't have the full set of a TV show. Like, they'll only have season 2.
Yeah, like this
Or they'll
Knight Rider
only have-
show was missing the first episode, which is the only one that Hasselhoff actually appears in. So I was like, it starts at season 1, episode 3. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't know why they don't get all of it. Like, if they have it, I want it all. Because if I'll watch a show, like I watch Damages, I want to watch everything.
But you know what?
From beginning to end, I'll watch like 6 of them in a row. So,
You know what I found this week, though, that cost me a lot of time?
yes,
Xena. That was
a
awesome.
workout video.
Yeah. Yeah, that was much better than Hercules, but it was a lot cheesier than I remember.
Yeah, well, it was a different time.
Yeah, it was the 80s. What can we do? Was it the 80s and 90s? I guess it was the 90s.
Yeah, that was the 90s.
Sam Raimi has a distinguished portfolio. All right.
It's fun, if nothing else.
And that's true.
Well, if everything has been said and done, I think I will, let's close it up.
Nice.
Seth, thank you so much for showing up, even with all of the keyboard difficulties.
Yes.
Skype and keyboard.
It was extremely stressful, but we made it through. So thank you for having me.
How can we find you, Seth?
You can find me on Twitter at Seth Clifford. You can find me on the Tippy Shows, iPhone and iPad Live, on Iterate with Renee and Mark Edwards of Bajango, and we are recording some tomorrow night, so you will have that soon. And if you'd like to check out some of the work we do and the apps that we build, you can check out our site at nfidm.com. We're Nickelfish.
Damn it.
Damn it.
Damn it.
You have to change your name professionally.
I know.
And thank you so and thank you so much, Renee, for joining us as well and dealing with all of the technical difficulties that come with starting over with a different video and audio series.
You're welcome.
And how do we find you?
You can find me at Renee Ritchie on the Twitters. You can find me on Google Plus if you prefer to get plussy with it. There's no easy way of telling people that, so just search. You can find me on Tippy.com, and you can find me on These Fine Shows with You Gentlefolk.
And I'm Georgia, and you can find me on Twitter at GeorgiaTIPB and on the website www.tippy.com, and also on Zen and Tech, which will be coming up right after this show. You can reach all of us at Tippy via email at podcast@tippy.com and leave a comment when the show goes live, please. We're here every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. British Summertime, and our companion show, iPhone Live, same bat time,
Same bat channel.
on Wednesdays, www.tippy.com/live. For all our podcasts, let's go at iPhone Live, iPad Live, Zen and Tech, Super Functional, Iterate, Android Central, Crackberry.com, and more. See mobilenations.com/shows. And if you haven't already, subscribe, leave a rating. That's how people will find us, increases our rank, and then we'll love you. Thanks so much to the Tippy iPad Accessories Store for sponsoring the podcast, and to everyone who showed up live, because you guys rock.
You do.
Totally.
Whoa, we survived.
Yes, and we have a whole bunch of contests too, so take a look, tippy.com/contests.
Yeah, we're giving away tons of stuff. Liana has some awesome... Liana, can I do a spoiler? We started a new photography and videography forum, and Liana is going to be giving away some interesting photography and videography related hardware and apps this week. Do not miss it.
Nice.
Do not miss it. That's it.
Miss it not.
Are we done?
Okay. That's it, we're done.
Woohoo!